at this final hour in this quiet place.
So, in this framework, in this fertile ground for anyone who is against oppression and wrongdoing, you have all these people that are growing up and coming together, and they're all advocating something is being wrong. Now, everybody's got a different idea. As I said, Martin Luther King's idea was peaceful protest. Stokely Carmichael, H. Rap Brown, their ideas in the early stages, from what I can recall, was for protests based on different approaches to economics. I want to say politics, but I'll say different approaches to economics, different approaches to politics. And Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz, Malcolm X, his idea, based on what Elijah Muhammad gave him, was to simply move away from the society where you cannot get justice, build your own society, and implement your own laws and your own economic systems. So, in contrast, you had all of these things. And what happened was Malcolm got into a situation wherein he had done so much for the community, the Nation of Islam, that many of the officials within that particular organization became jealous of him. They became jealous, they became envious. When envy seek refuge in Allah. And they said things and did things that placed Malcolm in a position would seem as though he was trying to push Elijah Muhammad out and become head of the Nation of Islam. I don't believe that this was in Malcolm's his mind at all. I don't think he was doing such a thing. When and he became aware that there were things that were going on within the framework of the Nation of Islam that were not within the realm or within the ideas that were being projected at that time. And he started to investigate. The Nation of Islam was a complete community. The Nation of Islam had an investigation department. They had their own means of wealth distribution. We had many businesses all across the United States, land, so many things, okay? And what happened was, in the course of an investigation, Malcolm began to find out that Elijah Muhammad was doing some things that Elijah said should not be done. And it seemed as though he was being opportunistic. I have no opinion on it one way or the other. And the things that he was, he said he was doing was that he was fathering children with some of his personal secretaries. It turned out that it was true. And what this did in Malcolm's mind, because Malcolm had gone from he'd gone from the extreme of immorality to the heights of moral thinking. His teacher had now, to him, become a hypocrite. He was saying something that he was not doing. And Malcolm began to talk about it. And private at first, and I'm sure that the word through the various avenues reached people who were supporters of Elijah Muhammad. And what happened was, when John Kennedy, the president of the United States, who was a very popular president amongst all the people in the United States, not just the white people, a lot of African Americans thought John Kennedy was a good president. And he was assassinated in 1963. And Elijah Muhammad told all the ministers across the United States, because by then, with the help of Malcolm El-Hajj Malik Shabazz, the Nation of Islam had grown tremendously. There were temples, what we call temples, we didn't call them mosques, all across the United States. And he had started the Muhammad Speaks newspaper, which helped also to spread the message of self-reliance. And also a lot of articles about the atrocities, the crimes that were being committed against black people. For instance, the involuntary sterilization of young black girls, and to a degree young black men, that nobody was talking about. This was taking place especially in the South, but also some places in the North. And this is one of the things that was exposed in the Nation of Islam's Muhammad Speaks newspaper. There are a lot of recipes on how to cook food without pork, all right? And just how to keep your house clean. And you know how women, and it wasn't just for the people who were in that community. We call ourselves Muslims. And Allah says in Quran that if someone calls themselves a Muslim, you have no right to say that they're not. Okay? But now, whether or not their understanding is Islamically correct or not, that's another issue. But a Muslim is one who submits his will to God. All right? Someone who recognizes that there's a God and who is submissive to what God wants done. So, at any rate, what happened is the community had grown with Malcolm's help. The message of the community had begun to spread broadly, and the ranks were growing. More and more people were coming in. And Elijah Muhammad had told all the ministers, don't say anything. Now, I have to say, Elijah Muhammad had a great deal of wisdom. He may not have had a lot of understanding about Islam, but he had wisdom based on experience. And he knew that if anyone from his community, of course, we also said that white people were devils, okay? And there was no sympathy amongst a lot of the people in the Nation of Islam at the death of Kennedy. They thought he was just another person who was presenting a false message about America. I personally think the Peace Corps was a good idea. But anyway, and then again, it was turned around to be a spy organization for the CIA. Another story, goes very deep, goes far, and it took it away from its purpose. But what happened essentially is that Malcolm had come back from someplace, and they asked him, what do you have to say about the death of the president? And he said a series of things. And he said, when you go around the world doing things to people, and you do this and you do that, and, we all know what the history of all countries that grow to the point that they become empires, the type of things that they do to maintain their empires. When you go around and you do these things, when something bad happens to you, it's the chicken's coming home to roost. And it was jumped on by the newspapers. It seemed like a very simple, very plain statement, all right, innocent, and even, you could say, I would say more naive than innocent, all right, because they took it and they blew it way out of proportion. It was on the front page of many prominent newspapers in the country. And what happened was,